Hello, I'm MPX and welcome back to an episode of my Minecraft Xbox Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the Let's Play where I'm playing through the various updates that have come out for Minecraft on the Xbox, building stuff, killing stuff, and of course, destroying stuff. And in today's episode, I actually wanted to focus on the big decision that's going to have to come up soon. So this is episode 349 of the Minecraft Xbox Update Adventures Let's Play, and it's been a really long time since the series began. We've had a lot of fun, we've built so many huge and small projects over that time, and obviously the Let's Play has come a long way, but there is a big decision that's going to need to be made in the very near future, and I figure given that episode 350 is the next one, I think I'm going to be making it before next week. And that big decision, obviously if you follow Minecraft Xbox, you're familiar what it is. It is the decision as to whether to transfer to Bedrock. And to me, it's a really tricky one because on the one hand, there's a lot of things Bedrock doesn't have. On the other hand, there is some things that it does have exclusively, and it will have the updates on it. So obviously, I figured the best way to kind of make this decision is to get ready for it either way, because, at some point, even if it's 10 years down the line, I'd still have to transfer eventually. So I'm going to be getting ready for the decision today, and then also I'm going to be talking about the same decision that happened a while ago and going back to the TU31 world. That's right, some of you might remember that, maybe like 20% of you might remember the old days of the, the 360 TU31 Let's Play that was made in the same world as kind of like a separate thing. I'm going to go back there because the decision honestly reminds me like a one-to-one example of the exact same thing happening but before, because obviously when the 360 changed to the Xbox One, a lot of people said like you probably shouldn't transfer the world. It's only a bigger world, but you lose, access to your 360. You can't ever go back once you do it, and it's kind of the same thing here. And the other thing is that, the reason that made me switch eventually was an update came out that I could only take advantage of on the Xbox One by expanding my Let's Play world. So I built a wall to keep the old Let's Play world out. It was a fun little build in my opinion, and then I built a brand new Let's Play just on the other side of the river. As you can see, it's kind of built differently to the, this part of the Let's Play because it was just an entirely new experience for me. It was a fun little thing to try out, and today I figured let's go back there because one, there's a couple of like, tiny things that probably should have been finished. There's some huge things that should have been too. But also because it reminds me of the same thing of like, these sorts of things, they're always hard decisions to make in the end. I don't think any other Minecraft player in any other versions had to make this unless you play the 360. You've never had to decide, like 3 times, I guess soon to be on the Switch, that like, oh yeah, your world is here in one place, then 3 years later, do you move it to another place? And then 3 years later, again, I'm going to have to move it to another place. And the crazy thing again is that like, oh, in another like 3 years, the Xbox, 720 or the Xbox 2, whatever they call the next Xbox will come out, and the same decision will come again. And I'm realizing that like, rather than sticking to how things are right now, there is always going to be a benefit in changing. So, here's a good way to see that. And again, you can probably see by the things I'm saying that like, I lean a little bit more to one side of like, I think I have to do this because I love playing around with update stuff too much. But I want to kind of like, walk you through the decision I had to make here because it wasn't necessarily an easy one. So I think if I place some like ladders on this is probably the fastest way to get up, and then I could break them on the way down because this is annoying me for a while. I don't want to use my Elytra at all because it's next to dead. It's annoying me for a while. I have just a little gap right here that just hasn't been filled in. There we go. Easy as that, right? Just easy stuff going on right there. And yeah, I don't know. This episode is going to be kind of focused on that a little bit, but also I do want to tell you a few things that have been going on in the past week because, again, life is crazy and all over the place sometimes. And yeah, let's talk about what's going on there. So yeah, but first, again, I can't really spend too much time on that without first of all mentioning like what the plans are today, because as well as checking this area out and doing a couple of finishing stuff so you can see it again, that's kind of nice. I also wanted to hop into the Nether because the Nether is something I was considering resetting it before going to the brand new version. Getting it ready for that sort of thing. But I think what would make more sense than doing that is to instead just set up the edge of the world so that I can have this place where I can connect the new world to the old world again. Because again, that seems to be something that's just happening on a continuous or continuous enough basis. So yeah, what we're gonna do is we're gonna hop into our Nether portal all the way back there. And we're gonna, I guess, fly around the Nether until we reach one of the very edges, and we're gonna turn it into like a little bit of a place. That's why I brought some ladders in case it's underwater, because it's always underwater at the edge of the world. And we're gonna try and make like an edge of the world place where we can connect the new world to the old world and see how things look. So before we can do that, though, we have to work out which direction. Oh, hello over there, Gus. Thank you for the polite hello. I'm gonna just fly past you right now. There's a lot of Gus today. So we have to find my other Nether portals. I have to find them fast because again, you gotta keep in mind I have really limited, oh gosh, it's around here somewhere. I have really limited Elytra flight time. Like I have to keep letting myself down as often as I can, because otherwise, okay, I'll fall a whole bunch. So given that there's another fortress there, I assume this is the way I want to be heading, and then I want to go left, and then right, and then, yeah, I think, therefore, yeah, at the very edge of the world this way, there's going to be my Nether portal near the Woodland Mansion for the Woodland Mansion restoration, which is still another work in progress thing. I know I do a lot of these, but just accept it as a potential fact. It'll be easier. But and then finally, we've got at the very, very edge of the world a little place right here where I built a Nether portal, and then it either I went there once or never went there, and I'm going to die, aren't I? I went there once or never went there, and oh gosh, there we go. I went there once and never went there, and we're going to go back there now. So yeah, while we do this, we're going to just kind of clear out the world, get it ready for the end. I'm going to talk about what's been going on in the past week, because I've been, again, I said last week, I'm like, I'm going to try and stay on the ground for as long as I can. And although that's true, besides going to Ireland, because my girlfriend is in a different country, not in Ireland, but long story behind that one, I figure, like, what I'm going to be doing is, besides doing that whole thing, which is going to happen after this is recorded, but before I get back, so I don't know, maybe expect to see a video on that about on the 2Cat channel. One of the things I've been doing a lot this week is playing just some video games in my spare time. It's something you really don't appreciate. Let's get some iron ore if it's here for free anyway. One of the things you don't really appreciate until you don't spend enough time doing it is like the beauty of playing video games. It's something I'd like to believe we all have at least some amount in common. I mean, not everyone who plays Minecraft plays games, but like there's a lot of cool games out there, and just like taking some time to like try one out once a week or something like that, I think it adds a lot to my life, because it's something I used to do so much of. That was like, I think I probably spent more time playing games than like living as a whole, or like living and doing other things as a whole. For a significant portion of my childhood, so it's kind of a cool like throwback to that, and it also gives me more opportunity to play some Minecraft, because I think I'll be honest on this one, I don't play as much Minecraft as back in the start days, but just having like half an hour, like just before this Let's Play, I spent 20 minutes just like kind of chilling in the world, doing some stuff while listening to a video. It's just a really fun thing to do. I will repeatedly state my desire to like play Minecraft for podcast, and it's funny because a lot of people listen to this as their like podcast while they play, and it's kind of funny that like cycles back around in that way. So yeah, this cave is very filled, but we're just gonna kind of clear the whole thing out because there's lots of iron to be gotten from it. Although we'll do that step by step because it's probably easier. And yeah, I can talk about the fact that I've been playing a lot of games such as Crackdown, which I don't like Crackdown a lot because it has this system where you lose XP for killing civilians, and it makes me like a little bit angry that like that shouldn't happen. Like I should, because a lot of games try to have this like moral thing of like, oh, killing civilians is bad. But by the way, Crackdown is a 10-year-old game. If you've never heard of it, you don't need to have. It's just like when I was younger, it was a game I really wanted to play and then never got into. And then it came out, for free with Games of Gold, which I really love because I really love the idea, the fact that it came out for free, because it kind of sends, like nowadays, if you like a video game, you can pay for it, or you can wait about 8 to 10 years, and then it'll come out for free. It's it's the loophole in the system they don't want you to know about. So yeah, I would have paid like, £40 or $60 for the game if I'd got it new, but it just came out for free of Games of Gold a couple of weeks ago, or months ago. It was just in my library either way, so yeah, basically, that's an exciting thing about being, I guess, waiting for things long enough. Eventually, they just become free. Because games get cheaper over time. In fact, a lot of things get cheaper over time. Technology, anything that's like based on the current value. It's kind of odd actually, but it's a thing that happens. And yeah, the reason the Crackdown was so interesting to me is because it has this like moral system in place where you lose XP, like physical XP that you have to gain back every time you kill a civilian. And I never really like games that like impose a moral judgment on you, because I feel like, if you're gonna not kill people, you're probably gonna not kill people. Like if you're gonna not kill people in a video game, then you're gonna do that. And if you're gonna kill people, you don't want the game to tell you not to. It feels like, being told, oh, this is a bad thing. And it feels like even that they're putting it in place so that like, oh yeah, well if we don't do that, then people might murder people in real life. And it's like, no, I kill people in the game because, I'm just a terrible human being. And I don't kill people in real life because that's not good, because they're real people with real lives. And again, maybe I'm a monster, but based on the number of people who kill cows in Minecraft, but don't kill cows in the real world, have you considered how many skeletons and zombies and, I guess these are, monsters, but I'm killing all these things and it's pretty crazy, right? So yeah, this cave is just being filled with mobs. So I think the best thing to do, rather than just like, fighting a brick wall, is to go to the very, very edge, because you can see over here, or in one of these directions. Oh, I think it's that one actually, with all the mobs. You can see around here, oh man, the number of mobs. I'm just running away from all of them. You can definitely see in one of these directions a big wall off the edge of the world. I think it's this one right here, actually. Yeah, you can see it's just a big wall at the edge of the world, and we're going to build up from here. So we have like a little platform we can build up from. So, oh, the last block you can't even go to anymore. Yeah, so that'll be a fun little thing, and we can use this as our little opportunity. Oh gosh, there's a zombie coming up. Oh, we can't place torches on the edge of the wall here because it's unusable. That's so weird. the edge of the world has changed so much in Minecraft too. But yeah, I don't like games that make moral impositions because, like, you know, I'm gonna not do something, or I'm gonna do it. Just like being told not to doesn't really impact my decision making in a positive way. At least not mine. Maybe there's someone who's like, you know, I was gonna kill people in real life, but I learned from this video game that you lose XP when you do that, and maybe in real life you lose XP too. Like, maybe someone's out there like that, and if they are, I'm honestly more scared knowing that, like, they're being driven underground by the whole idea of games not telling them it's wrong, or games telling them it's wrong. But either way, I'm hoping I don't drown on the way to the surface. Let me talk about what else I've been up to this past week, because I've actually been writing a book. So the reason this came about is because people non-stop ask, especially on the second channel. Oh gosh, my inventory. Especially on the second channel, people ask all the time, like, "Hey, Toycat, how do you travel so much?" And the simple answer, you know, like, I guess there's two answers to that question. Like, you can be rich, or you can, you know, travel smart, I guess. Or I guess technically you could do both. And yeah, basically because I've been doing it for so long, I was like, you know, it's as simple as this, and I'm like, oh, but also that, and then this. And I was writing a bunch of notes because I wanted to make a whole video on it. And the video was turning into like this 13-page thing. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna turn this whole thing into like some form of book that can hopefully provide, you know, enough value to be worth like 99 cents or something. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm writing. I need to get into this bubble. I'm writing a like all of these things just into like one huge guidebook thing. And it's been really interesting writing because something you don't necessarily think about, but that kind of makes sense, is that, you know, writing down, you know, the written word versus the spoken word, they're just like entirely different things. And maybe everyone else knows this and I don't, but to me, you know, the word is the same whether you say, you know, word or whether you write down W-O-R-D. But they you know, they're entirely different things. The written word and the spoken word are so you can place ladders on the back wall, but only by placing them on the side of something else. That is a very, very weird little thing we've just found out right there. Not sure if there's anything I can do with that besides chuckle a little bit. I guess we'll use stone for this. So to climb up the whole thing again, place a little stone thing, and then make a little stone platform at the top, I guess. It's gonna be ugly, but you know, ugly is fine. Ugly is a-okay. That's the life lesson you get from this. But yeah, so I've been writing a book, and it makes me realize that, like, I know there's so many things that like sound just about reasonable in spoken word, but seem ridiculous written down. And I think that's actually where a lot of like, I'm on this edge of the world block. This is such a weird place to be, right? Especially because there's an air gap there where I have to be half within it. Anyway, so because you know, there's a lot of stuff that I think on the internet that looks terrible. Like there's a way to present your thoughts in text that you don't have to in real life. In real life, you can, you know, kind of ramble all over the place a little bit. I mean, the best example of this is like, you know, look at how Trump speaks in real life. Versus, you know, if you ever like write down a Trump speech, it's like, oh my gosh, what even is this? And although, you know, like, I'm not saying it's good in text, or I'm not saying it's bad in text. Again, I'm not here to talk politics. I'm just here to say, like, oh my gosh, if you write one of those down, it looks pretty horrendous. I think anyone can agree. And it's one of those things where, like, oh yeah, that's just kind of the case, right? That writing your thoughts down and having them being said out loud, you can do entirely different things. Like, you can tell much more emotional stories through the use of words because, again, people emphasize better with words than they do with speech than they do with words, I guess. It's a very confusing thing, but it's something I've realized through the process of writing this. In case you're curious, by the way, I actually wrote, because I know some of you have found this by accident, I actually used to write a few books for Amazon. I had the best-selling video game ebook, I think, or something, you know, weird category, for a Minecraft, a guide to Minecraft Pocket Edition, actually. It got taken down, you know, Mojang, they took it down for copyright infringement or something, which I thought was a little bit of a jerk move. But yeah, fun fact, that's a thing I used to do, and so it's something I've done before, and I figured, like, let's do this again, because I have a little bit of experience of, like, publishing it to the e-store and not having to deal with a publisher or whatever. Because honestly, I think that's the big thing that, like, makes people not wanna, like, make books of any form, right? Is the fact that, like, you have to go to someone else and they have to approve your book. They have to change it a little bit. But I think this is just going to be like, oh yeah, this is just 20 pages of pure tips and fun and, you know, stories and stuff like that. And that's why I'm happy writing the idea or something. Because again, I feel like having someone else approve of what's inside your head is such a tricky thing to even imagine doing. Like, sharing what's inside is so scary sometimes if you're not sure that other people have a similar thing. Like, not knowing how someone's going to react to something is, like, super scary, especially if that person, you know, like, if, let's say they work at one of these companies, has the control in the end of whether or not that thing exists. That to me is just too much power. So it's scary power, it's too much power, it's not good. So None of the mobs actually went away while I was doing that, sadly. This creeper's going to blow up, so I'm going to use him. Oh, okay, clever idea right here. I'm going to bring the creeper to the edge of the world to try and get those 2 iron blocks I couldn't get earlier. Will it work? I mean, probably not, because this is going to be... Okay, I tried my hardest. Okay, well, that that achieved something, at least. You know, let's just kill these things. So yeah, basically, it's really scary to share what's on the inside sometimes, especially, again, like when you know your audience, when you know someone, it's easy to share with them. Like you can talk with your best friend all the time, but someone else comes around and you're like, yeah, I don't really want to talk to them at all. You know, there are some people that you open up easy to, and some people you don't. And I feel like, you know, man in suit with money is someone that no one really inherently feels like sharing everything with. But that's just my take. I'm excited by the world with less middlemen in general. Because that's, I don't know. I've been on YouTube for, that skeleton's taking quite a time though. I've been on YouTube since the days that, like, that was just an accepted thing here too. Like, oh yeah, there's going to be someone, and you can't literally make money on YouTube without some random dude deciding, yeah, you're good, yeah, you're not. And the idea that some of these guys would just not like me, it's the same with Twitch right now, actually. Some human being has to physically decide whether it's good or not, and they always look at me and they say no. And something about that, like, stings hard, right? Like, that's one of the reasons why I don't like Twitch. I'll be honest, it's semi-personal. Like, they have a list of requirements, and I meet all of the requirements, and they don't like it anyway. And, like, something about that, it's like, you know, it'd be a one thing if they said, oh yeah, we kind of just decide, and that's how things are. They're like, oh yeah, you meet these requirements, or maybe if you don't meet the requirements, we'll let you in anyway. But then you meet the requirements, they're like, yeah, something about the way you've done those requirements just isn't good with us. And you never even know what it is, but it's scary. And yeah, I don't know. Sharing stuff like that is weird. And that is why some of the stuff you work on is always going to be strange. So, yeah, since I've spoken enough about something that some portion of you don't care about, or the majority of you don't care about, I guess, let me talk about counterintuitive things, because I love counterintuitive things, like things that are the opposite of the way you'd think they'd be. That's, again, big poke at why I make Minecraft videos the way I do. How did a skeleton... so now we just have to... I'm on fire here too. The world just does not like me today, it seems. I'm taking hits like it's nothing. Like, seriously, my armor is... Oh, man, and I'm gonna die from the gas now. Oh, gosh. Have to eat quickly. Okay, I'm gonna make it. Okay. I've almost died a lot of times today. It's starting to become, like, a real problem, this dying business. So I've got an efficiency 5 pickaxe here, and I've got some inventory spaces, or now I have more inventory spaces, right? And then if I make some torches, I'll have even more. No, that's not worth doing. But yeah, so I'm gonna, like, do my favorite thing, which is destroying some nether stuff, because this is one of the things I was doing a few weeks ago to help for the transfer 2. Always spin around those guys, by the way. Confuses their little algorithm or whatever. But yeah, one of the so we're gonna destroy a bunch of this as well. One of the things that I've been thinking about is, like, counterintuitive things, because I guess, like, this is a lot of, like, why I like Minecraft. Like, oh, you'd figure that this would happen like this in, you know, Minecraft, but guess what? It doesn't. You'd figure there'd be no way to magically break blocks instantly, but guess what? Diamond pickaxe, even if it's got the curse of vanishing on, because I got it from the end, which I did in my 20 minutes I was playing with podcast, by the way. Doesn't even matter regardless. And yeah, one of the things about this is I heard a story, or like it's from a book called When to Rob a Bank. Would recommend, by the way. But basically, in this book they mentioned how, like, someone from Coke was offered the formula on how to make Pepsi. You know, the Pepsi formula, like the secret formula, I think it actually is, was offered to the executives at Coke from, like, some rogue employees at Pepsi. But the people at Coke turned those people in, and you know, the book stated that, like, oh, even though that seems like Coke being really good guys to their friends Pepsi, you know, not taking the formula, but instead, like, turning it down. The reality is that they don't actually want the formula to Pepsi. Like, Coke definitely does not want to know what's in Pepsi, and Pepsi doesn't want to know what's in Coke. And again, that sounds weird on the surface. Like, why would that be the case? Oh gosh, I'm on fire. Why would that be the case? Surely you'd want to know what's in your competitor stuff, even just for curiosity, so you can work with it. But the truth is that neither company... Oh, that thing spawned in front of my eyes. Neither company really cares too much about how the other one makes their stuff because they want to be different products. If they're different products, then you'll buy Coke or Pepsi based on loyalty, and it's better for both companies. If you buy, however, you know, your product of choice, whichever one that is, based on other factors, you know, like price, for instance, then that's bad because they'll have to start competing on price. However, right now, again, people, they have loyalty to one or the other, and that's why they buy, like, sponsorships or whatever, to try and convince you to be loyal to them. No. Okay. I thought I was going to die. They'll go for a lot of effort to convince you to be loyal to them as opposed to their opponent, you know, like, because, again, getting a loyal customer is worth more. But if the two of them were the same, then you'd be able to interchangeably switch. And that's why Coke and Pepsi, even though Pepsi, I think, objectively tests better, tests better, you know, whether it tastes better is down to your own opinion. Blind taste test, I think it is. You know, Coke wants to be kind of like, you know, like it wants to be the way it tastes right now, so that you think they're different, and that's kind of wild. And another thing that I think is weird, because I'm currently, a friend really wants to come with me to, I've got a really weird, like, voucher thing set up, but a friend really wants to come with me somewhere in Asia. It hasn't really specified where, and because of that, you know, we're working out, like, oh yeah, it will cost this much or that much, and they're like, oh, that's like a lot of money. But there's an interesting thing in, like, how you spend money, where, like, you know, £1 is worth £1 or $1 if you live in a dollar country, which is, like, the US, New Zealand, Australia, and, like, 50,000 other countries. But if you live in a country, basically, if you live in a country, $1 is always $1. There's never a time where, like, oh yeah, but you get big benefits for spending 100 at once. No, it's the same amount. If you save $1 here, that's the same as earning $1 later. So the reason I bring that up, also, I think I wanted to follow that pathway, but I'm just going to go to the edge of the world, see what it looks like on foot, because, you know, I'm curious enough. So yeah, one of the things that I bring that up for is because if let's say you're going to go somewhere and you're like, okay, it's going to cost me $300 to fly to Asia. Again, that's our little thing right here. If you're then like, oh, but you could do it so much nicer, or like 20% nicer for $400, you're like, oh, sure. At least that's how my friends are. Like, oh, yeah, like that amount is like, yeah, that's only like an extra 100, like 300, 400. But really, like, the jump between 300 and 400, again, this is just my friend's logic, not mine. But he's like, oh my god, that's a huge jump. That's totally worth it. But like the jump between 0 and 100, you need a huge threshold to get people over that. Again, even though it's the same 100, if I was like, oh yeah, you can get 25 Big Macs for £100, or like, oh, you can get a slightly nicer flight for 100, you'd be like, I'll take the slightly nicer version of the thing I already have, but 25 Big Macs, or I think that's what £100 gets you. I don't know what the price is in dollars, but you know, 25 Big Macs, that would bring a lot of happiness, I feel like. That is a month almost supply of Big Macs, and if you don't eat every day, it's definitely more than a month. That's a month supply of like Big Macs, or even something, you know, not ridiculous and very potentially what's the word I'm looking for? Controversial. Even something less controversial, like let's just say, you know, like any other fast food chain or any other nice thing, like, you know, your favorite drink, get a bunch of it. I just bought a cheesecake for £13 from Costco. It's a very expensive cheesecake, but it's like £1 a slice or something. But the amount of joy each cheesecake slice brings me, I could get 100 cheesecake slices of, you know. But my point here is that the jump, getting someone to spend, you know, from £0 to 100, like 100. If you get a random bill, like a fine for 100, like, or if £100 comes out of nowhere, you're freaked out by that. That's so much. But if you're already spending a certain amount, spending a little bit more is not hard to convince someone to do. And it's called like the door in the face technique or something, where like, it's really easy to get someone to agree to something small once they've agreed to something big. If you convince someone, like, you know, oh yeah, why don't you change your internet company? And you're like, oh yeah, that's yeah, and then, you know, they change your wires around your house or whatever happens when you change your internet. And then after that, they're like, oh yeah, and as well as that, why don't we, you know, like, change your electricity? We can do it while we're here. It'll only cost you an little extra and, you know, save you the time. People would be like, oh yeah, it just makes sense while you're here anyway, right? Oh my god, skeletons are so here. And yeah, it's interesting to me that there's a lot of, like, even though things, and also it's loss aversion's my favorite one. This is one of my old favorite things. I've spoken about this like 200 episodes ago, I think. That people are way more likely to try and protect money that they've got than they are to go and earn money. So if there was an anti-lottery where, you know, let's say you get paid £1 or $1, again, I don't know, whatever your currency is. I'm sure you can convert. I'm sure no one's out there like, oh, a pound? Why is he talking about weight like that? I'd hope not. No one's doing that anyway. But yeah, basically, if there was like an opportunity to be paid a pound and you had a 1 in 300 million chance of losing 150 million, then it's actually a pretty good bet to take. You should do that every week. I play the anti-lottery like 10 times a week. But the amount of fear and like maybe I lose something I already have, it's just like, again, it breaks people. And that's something that's like a real point of like research and stuff. Like everything we know about humans says that shouldn't be the case. But then, you know, anytime you put it into practice, it's true. People go through a lot of effort not to lose something they already have. And yeah, to me that just makes you wonder like, you know, where can that be used and where? Because I think everyone thinks that they're super logical until they realize that like, oh yeah, and then that way you're not. And I think the smartest thing is just knowing like, oh yeah, I get really irrational when you compare, you know, staying in a nicer hotel versus 25 Big Macs. I lose it. I don't understand the difference there. And I think, oh, I'm out of food entirely and there's a skeleton killing me. I think knowing where that comes into play is a really big deal. Personally, at least, that's my take. Maybe it's not. Maybe you disagree. But it's something that's been on my mind a lot this past week, alongside, honestly, the big thing, I'm going to go back to it, is the big decision on this Let's Play world. Do I stay or do I go? And again, the answer really seems to default to, of course, you go. Because I want to play with new stuff in Minecraft. That's always been a big thing for me. But at the same time, it's also a really big commitment to make, to like just leave everything behind, or to leave a whole world behind. You know, leave some number of people are gonna hate me for, you know, switching over to Bedrock. But I think it's important to do what I want to do, and not to try and let, you know, the horde dictate me, because that happened before. Like again, it's happened. The very reason, you know, like I said anything about Bedrock rather than just saying, oh, this is objectively the best thing ever, is because I had beliefs that like, yeah, it's not quite there yet. And the switching over from 360 to the 1 was again another unpopular decision that, of course, like you look at now and you're like, of course you had to do that. And I think it's going to be the same thing. Why don't these work? Am I missing something? Do they not work when you're hungry? Okay. And yeah, it makes me wonder that like this is probably going to be somewhere in that same ballpark. So yeah, in the next episode, I'm even going to be doing. I'm going to be making the big decision. I think I'm going to decide to switch, but if you want to, I don't know. This is one of the most torn up things I've thought about in a while. It's a big decision. It's like you know, you get something like this wrong, channel dead. You know, like yeah, enough of your audience hates you, and suddenly it's all over. And that's scary as someone who has been lucky enough to do this full time for a bit. It's always scary when you risk the farm on a big decision like this. The farm, you know, let's just call it the farm. But it's something that I think I want to do. And next week we'll either have a big sea of blue there, or we'll have something different, a new set of terrain, some new oceans from the updated Quadsic. I don't know for sure, but I'm a little bit excited, honestly. And maybe all of you are too. I hope you all enjoyed this Let's Play, and I'll see you all for episode 350 next week. Goodbye.